Hi, I'm Wade Harvey. This is part 5 of putting the pieces of .NET together. And today we're looking at web servers. That's the foundation of what your ASP.NET pages execute on. What does a web server do? Well, it receives an HTTP request from a client, or somebody types in a URL in the browser, and that sends the request down to the web server. And that request authenticates the user, and are they able to use this files and resources that are being requested. And it also executes server code on the server, performs the code behind. And from all that, it builds an HTML page, which then is shipped back across the internet to the person at the client computer, and they see this page pop up on their browser. What are the two main types of two main web servers that we're interested in? And they are ASP.NET Development Server, and that's when you're working in the development environment under Visual Studio. And then when you go live in production, it's called IIS. That's the other server, which stands for Internet Information Services. Okay, let's look at ASP.NET Development Server in more detail. It executes under the login of how you logged into Windows, which makes sense. You're working in a development environment. It's not going to be some global ID. It's going to be your own ID. If you logged in as yourself, then it'll be you, and that's who'll need security. And if you logged in as admin, it'll be the admin user ID. The process name is this long web dev whatever, and it server resides under Windows framework that you're working with, and ASP net files. That's where the intermediate language compiled pages go, assemblies. And on the production side, when you're looking at Internet Information Services, you execute under a generic logon ID of iUser machine name, typically, as a default, and the process name is changed for each version of IIS, which makes it confusing. But in 5 it was iNetInfo, in 6 it became HTTP sys, and in 7 it was W3 WP, which is the current version. And IIS resides under the Windows folder in System32 in iNet Server. You can get to IIS by going to the Windows Start button and selecting the Run icon and typing iNet Manager in the command line. And IIS executes assemblies from inetpub wwroot. I'll show you an example of getting to iNet Manager by using the Start button. So here we go in the Start button, and I enter iNet Manager. Click Enter, and I'm using IIS 7, so you'll see that interface. And typically you drill down into these sites and go to the default sites, and usually you have your default websites under there. Okay, so there's been different versions of IIS, and the default install on different versions of the operating system. So in Windows 2000 you had IIS 5 or XP, and that listened at port 80. And then with Windows 2003 and Vista, they put IIS HTTPS listens from the kernel, and in Windows 2008 and Windows 7 the default IIS is 7.0. You have ASP.NET Runtime, which takes the pages and compiles them into native language, and this is different with each version. It used to be ASP.NET WP Execute in 5.0. And the ISAPI module, which is called the Internet Server Application Programming Interface, when the HTTP request comes down the pipeline, it first goes through the ISAPI module, and it decides what should go to ASP.NET. If it's an ASPX page, then it should go to ASP.NET Runtime, and if it's like an HTML page, it would not typically go to that unless you use an integrated pipeline in the latest version of IIS.